Welcome to Stop Wasting Your Wine, a wine review podcast where we waste our wine so you don't have to. On this episode, we review
a sparkling rosé from France with guest host Natalie Singletary, owner of the Wine Not Sky Bar and Cocktail Lounge.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We are so excited to be here yet again, approaching very slowly episode 100. Guys, did you realize that?
Ooh, what are we at?
Yeah, we are
absolutely insane.
This is 99.
Wow.
We're not approaching. We're like knocking on the door.
We are right there.
And yeah, it's happening. This might as well be it.
Which is why...
Wait, that doesn't make sense.
No, this is 99, Joe. It's not it, but it's close, but it's not it.
I take it back.
But, you know, every episode now is special, and that's why, once again, we have a special guest with us today. We have joining us today Natalie Singletary, who grew up in the service industry, and after moving to Wilmington, North Carolina 6 years ago, founded the Wine Not Sky Bar and Cocktail Lounge in 2021. Wine Not is located on the 9th floor, I love that, of the historic... is that Murchison building, and overlooks downtown Wilmington, Cape Fear River, and the Battleship, North Carolina. Natalie, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you and try some wine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. We always love having new folks on the show, especially ones who share our passion about online wine education and content creation and fun.
Yeah, I've been following you guys for a while, so I'm excited to be a part of the pod.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Awesome.
I think we all share an interest in making wine fun. So I think this is going to be a really great conversation. So looking forward to it. And thanks for being here.
Although, to the listener at home, we were all chatting right before we started recording how quietly we could all open up our sparkling wine bottles. And I don't know if that has made us more fun or less fun over the years, now that we've realized that we have to open our bottles as quietly possible. It's a challenge, but it's definitely not as festive.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a fun challenge.
Fun for us, maybe not as fun for other people who like the pop, but you know, I got to get it as quiet as I can now. It's like a thing. I think about it obsessively when I'm opening the wine.
I tried on this one. This one was more difficult than most. You know, like we were talking about before the show started. I feel like this one had a lot more oomph behind it than you know, a typical bottle for sure.
Yeah, this one, I was filming a little bit of something right before this, and my wife and I both jumped at the same time because wasn't expecting it to come out as quick as it did. So a high pressure bottle, I don't know if that equates to high quality. But
there's a joke in there that I'm not going to touch. And I want you to know that I'm not going to touch it because I'm going to be above board here. This is a highbrow show. We're adults, so I'm not going there.
That's exciting.
I was going to ask, though. I was going to ask, do you guys, I had one cork that actually, you know how they say, like, don't point it at your face because there is a chance
they do say that, yeah.
Fly off. I had one fly off on me, like as I was still
like out of your hand, like you were holding on to it. Did you keep the cage on?
I was holding it. I think it went off with it. I don't remember because I mean it was still I was just about to take it off and pop. And ever since then, like I get a little nervous sometimes when I'm doing it. And I definitely face it away.
I have had one bottle of a sparkling wine. It was a Prosecco. Hit the ceiling.
Really?
Did it leave a mark?
Wow.
We had a friend in an apartment put a hole in the.
It did not. So it was when I first opened, and I really, you know, I was a wine lover, but I only have my WSET 1, and I didn't take that until year 2 after opening Wine Not. And so I really didn't know that much about wine when I started, to be honest. And another wine bar owner was in my bar at the time, and I was mortified when it happened. And like everyone was like, and then like celebrates, you know, like, because, you know, if you're not a wine person, you think, you know, when you hear that bottle of bubbly pop, it's like a celebration, like, woo!
Yep.
And everyone was like, yeah. And then I was mortified in front of that other, you know, wine
as
bar
the drywall
owner,
trickles down from the ceiling and just like,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
I love
Well, that's awesome. And Colin, I think that's actually a great pivot into our first question for Natalie. And Natalie, I noticed you refer to yourself as Nat on your social media. What do you prefer, Nat or Natalie?
Either one. Most people call me Nat. I have noticed that, you know, whenever I'm talking to the camera, I always say, hey, it's Nat from Wine Not. I feel like that's what, you know, what most people call me. You guys are welcome to call me Nat.
All right, we're 5 minutes in and we're already at
All
Nat
right.
stage. Great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Absolutely. We're amongst
Excellent.
friends.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Nat. So let's start at the beginning of your wine story. And how did you get into wine?
The beginning of my wine story starts in college. So none of my family really enjoyed wine. One of my college roommates, her mom was a wine lover, and she started drinking wine. I honestly don't even think we were 21 yet, but we would buy garbage wine from Walmart, $2 bottles of
Ooh.
oak leaf Pinot Grigio. So that's
Sounds
honestly where my wine journey started. And then I feel like I kind of took the natural path of starting to try, drier wines, like progressively, like working my way to Sauv Blancs and then like Chardonnays, and then started, playing with Rosé, and then got into reds really hardcore. I lived in South Florida for a while, and there was a wine bar around the corner from my apartment that was really just cute and aesthetically pleasing. And I would go there and bring my laptop and have a glass and get some work done. And then I got really into wine during COVID, like a lot of people.
It's like, yep, okay, here we are.
Yeah. And I was in finance in the auto industry, and I was doing really well with it, but I absolutely hated my job.
Yeah.
During COVID, I transitioned to work from home, and again, got really into wine and started educating myself on it more and just YouTubing things and learning more about it. And then kind of found the spot that Why Not is in. It's, like you said, it's on the ninth floor of a historic building downtown,
Which is so cool.
and kind of came up with the idea and fell in love with it and just decided to go for it. So then I really started educating myself on wine a little bit more. And yeah, the funnest part is kind of drinking your way through your wine journey and learning more as you taste,
the only
right?
way.
That is
the only
best
way.
to
Yeah.
learn,
Best way.
for sure.
That's absolutely.
I also think it's so funny. We've talked to, we mentioned that we kind of started this during COVID. We've talked to a couple people in the wine world. I think one person started a distributor company. One person started a winery. You started an amazing, very cool wine bar. And then I'm like, man, I mean, I guess we started a podcast, but come on.
We
That's
did
so
not
cool.
jump
Like,
off nearly as well.
We bought a couple of microphones.
And that took some of us longer than
That
others.
took forever. Yeah.
It did, yeah. But no, I think it's so cool, taking big swings, and I think that's so cool. And so, you have the Why Not Sky Bar and Cocktail Lounge. So, I've seen the social media. It looks so beautiful, looks so cool. I sit there and I'm like, I want to hang out there. But, what was kind of like, what was your vision when you were starting it, and what is it that makes it different?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I opened when I was 30, and I was over the bar scene, and it's like, every bar you go to, you have to like yell over loud music and fight for a bartender's attention. And my goal really was to create a safe space where people can come and sit down and enjoy a nice glass of wine. And it feels like an extension of someone's home. So I always say that, this bar is an extension of my home, and I want you to be able to come in, find a cozy corner, and sit down and actually enjoy a conversation with a loved one with an elevated experience. Elevated in multiple ways, because of course we're on the ninth floor. Of course I'm biased,
yes.
but we have the best view in town. And then our wine selection is phenomenal. So again, I kind of like came up with the idea, and originally I had a partner, and we were going back and forth on whether we should do this or not. And finally I decided, if I don't do this, I feel like I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of spitballing, and I was like, you know what? Why not? Wait, why not?
Hey.
And he was like, yeah, why not? Let's just do it. And I was like, no, the name has to be Why Not?
So good.
That's
And
awesome.
then I fell in love with the name, and I was like, if I don't use this, I really will regret it. So
Absolutely.
then that was really the fire that sparked the vision, and just grew from there.
So cool.
Awesome.
And I love the idea of, the place that feels like an extension of your home. That's, it ties in so closely with something we always talk about. It's making wine like less pretentious, just more comfortable, more familiar, and easier to get into. So to have a place where you can go, and that's the vibe, and that's what you're setting out to do is really cool. I wish I was a little closer there. I think we might have to take a trip.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we all know that wine can feel, and it is in many ways very, pretentious. And ultimately, we're talking about an alcoholic beverage.
Right. Totally.
Like how silly is that it can be something that people are so snooty about when it's something that's meant for you to enjoy and have fun and share with, loved ones, right?
Totally.
But yeah, it's very much like when you walk in the door, I want you to feel like family. And, the staff that I have is very much a part of my family, and we all consider this bar our baby.
Yeah.
And when you're here, you're family. It's like we're elevated Olive Garden, without the breadsticks, unfortunately.
I'll say that's the next step, breadsticks. No, I very much appreciate that mindset. And I know one thing you mentioned in your bio, and you see it on your Instagram right now, is, I noticed you kind of had a joke, like when your regulars hang around so long that they help with the cleanup routine. I'm assuming that was an actual regular you got in your video.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I know it's Pride
That's
Month,
awesome.
and, you posted a lot on there about being like super inclusionary. And, and I love that because, again, like you said, like wine can be something that is inclusive and diverse, and we've had so many folks on this show who have talked about their wine experience starting with feeling kind of left out and wanting to be able to have access, and wanting people who look like or are like them to also have similar access. So I think having a location like yours that is not only so accessible in the culture but names it out loud, I think is really important and very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's very important to me for it to be a safe space where, you can come and not feel judged. You don't have to know anything about wine. And, one of my favorite things is that I have so many regulars. The regular, her name's Sarah, that was actually in the Instagram reel that you're talking about. She became a regular the minute she walked in here on Valentine's Day of 2023. I'll never forget. When she came in, she wanted the sweetest wine that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with dessert wine and then Moscato. And then she was on the Lambrusco kick for a long time. So we have a group of ladies that love Lambrusco that we call the Brusco babes.
I love it.
So she has and my staff have helped her progressively work her way to like enjoying drier and drier wines. And now she likes the biggest, boldest Shiraz and Barolos. And she actually went to Italy this past year. And she was like, I'm so glad that like I went on this wine journey, because she like went to these vineyards and was able to really enjoy and like get this whole experience that, enjoy wine she would have hated 2 years ago.
That's amazing.
Sure.
That's so
That
cool.
is awesome. Cool story.
And I mean, just speaking of your Instagram, because that's where we've seen her. Your Instagram's a lot of fun. I know there's a lot of like businesses out there that like, it's mostly their business, and every now and then they're trying to hop on like some kind of viral or whatever. But it really does seem like, your social media is an equal partner to the bar itself. It's like the bar is doing its thing, and the social media is almost, it's almost its own thing. Like people are going to come visit the social media. Are you the brains behind that?
So I am the brains behind it. I did it by myself for a while. And it's a lot. Like as an entrepreneur or small business owner, it is very much like a full-time job if you want to use your Instagram to help drive traffic. So I love content creation. I have a lot of fun with it, especially stuff that involves humor. I love comedy, and I love including, comedic stuff in my content. But it's really hard to keep up with the Instagram and with all the socials while running a business too. Yeah. So I have a girl that helps me with social media. Shout out Sarah Steedman at Peckish Wilmington. She's great. And also it's very helpful to have someone else behind the camera, because I'm
totally,
often, the face of Instagram. So yeah, she does a great job.
Aaron's looking for tips right now.
Or someone to hold the camera for me. Really, just
tips, consistency. I really started diving into social media like 2 years in. So we're 3.5 years in, to why not at this point. And I really, whenever I bought my previous partner out, it was really important for me to rebrand as a women-owned business. And so I really got really consistent with posting, and I saw a huge change in the business. It really started growing exponentially when I started posting a lot and doing content that people would share with other people.
Sure.
And out of sight, out of mind. If why not's popping up on everyone's feed all the time, like, oh shit, we should go there and grab a drink tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Totally.
It must be working, because like I'm seeing the views on your videos, and it's just like, this is not just like advertisements for a bar. Like, they're funny and they're enjoyable, and like people are sharing them, so it's great.
Well, thank you. I put a lot of work into it, so that means a lot.
It shows.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
So we have some rapid fire fun questions for you before we get into this wine. So real quick, if you have to name it, what's your favorite wine? But also, what's your favorite cheap wine?
Favorite wine? That's like asking a parent which kid is their favorite.
It's not a fair question.
So I go through phases where I call them current obsessions. My current obsession is a Cremant Brut Rosé.
Hey.
One of the ones that I sent you before. And then I have a Cabernet Blanc on my menu right now. That's German by Zeringer. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's German, so I might need to put it in there.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. And I went to Italy this past fall, and so I got really into Italian wines after that trip. So I go through phases, but the Cab Blanc is kind of, and I hate to be that person that doesn't say a red wine, during a summer month. But that's kind of my current obsession right now.
I love that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a little bit you really got into wine during the pandemic, but do you remember like the one bottle or the one wine experience you had that was like, yeah, this is what I need to get into right here?
There was a couple, and my tastes are so different than they are than they were then.
Sure.
There's a Pinot Noir that's really cheap. So this also checks that box. It's by Ed.
Ed.
Ed, E-D.
Cool. Okay.
It's in Total Wine. It's everywhere. And I think it's like $11 a bottle. And so that one was like a fuller bodied Pinot Noir that I really enjoyed. And then also at the time, I was into like super oaky, buttery Chardonnays. So just butter bombs, something that I would now call a Cougar juice.
Sure.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I got really into like oaky Chardonnays, like Josh and butter. And then Freak Show had a Zinfandel that I was really into during COVID too. So I mean, I was just into supermarket wines.
We did on this, and we all really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, shockingly.
I haven't had it in so long. I'd circle back,
Just for the fun of seeing like how, how it compares to your memory. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know that I want to circle back to that $2 oak leaf though.
Yeah, so some things just leave in the past. You salute.
Yeah, some things can stay in the past for sure.
Exactly. Also, we have to put a point on the fact that we've talked about the idea of a Cougar juice wine many times on this show, but we never had a term to define it, and that is so
someone else is gonna have to do the sticker.
Yeah, 1000%.
Oh, yeah. As you should. That's funny. It's there's stereotypes. The older ladies drinking oaky, buttery shards it's pretty spot on from my personal experience. At a wine bar.
Data to back it up.
It seems like a pretty solid point of reference. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I'll hit you with one more just kind of fun question here. Do you have a wine hot take? Something that maybe a little controversial, a little against the grain?
I do. So this is a hot take from someone in the wine world, and I can already tell you, don't come at me.
Love it when it starts with that.
I don't love champagne.
Oh, whoa. Interesting.
Wow. The hottest of
Yeah.
hot takes.
Yeah.
And I know because I literally just said that, a Cremant Rosé is like one of my current obsessions and very different, but, we can see like similarities, right? But I don't love like the super yeastiness of a
Yeah, sure.
champagne.
Yeah, that's
Gotcha.
fair.
So it's not.
And
Is it sparkling wines or specifically the old, like the aged champagne?
specifically champagne. I love sparkling wines.
Okay.
I love what we're having tonight. I love
Nice.
cava. I love prosecco. And I mean, like, what a beautiful thing that I prefer cava over champagne for my
Totally.
wallet, right?
Absolutely.
100%.
Well, no, and that makes a lot of sense to me because, like, and we're going to talk a little bit about this later during the learning segment, but one of the pros and cons of champagne is like champagne is locked into like the expectations of the ingredients list, right? It's like it has to have
Yeah.
X, whereas like Cremant isn't held in that same way, so you get a lot of the same traditional style, but you are allowed to experiment with the flavor in a way that champagne is not allowed to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of like, old world, the traditions. Sometimes it's like, if you can make a better wine, I'm down for throwing tradition out the window,
Sure.
you
Totally.
know?
Sure. 100%.
Like, so when I was in Italy this past year, I went, I was, specifically in the Chianti Classico region. And, if it has the DOC label, then they can't even irrigate. They cannot water their vines
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
it's a dry season. I mean, and like, don't get me wrong. I'm down for tradition, but when it doesn't make sense, throw it out the window, in my
Sure.
opinion. If you can make a better wine,
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
love that.
Yeah,
You know?
Totally agree.
Hot take,
Yeah.
but it makes sense.
Yeah.
so,
No,
Oh,
I
100%.
yeah. And what
Yeah.
what's popping in my head too is we had a Corpinat,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really even familiar with Corpinat. And I mean, we were just talking about how much better it is than a lot of the champagnes that we've had. And I definitely I love champagne, but I can see how like people get into this realm of just assuming that that's going to be the best kind of sparkling wine that you can find. Not the case. Not the case.
Well, I'm excited because we have not had a Cremant in the show in, I think, over a year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be excited to get
Been a
back to
while.
that. We're going to taste it a little bit. We're going to learn a little bit more about Cremant. And, we're going to play one of our favorite games, if you're up for it now at the end, Pinot or Chardonnay. And I figured we'd do a little lightning round today, guys, and I'll explain that to you a little bit faster if we keep it moving. But today,
okay.
we are drinking something exciting that I've never had before. I don't think, have any of you had this wine before?
No.
No.
Very cool. Colin, would you mind sharing with the listener what we're drinking today?
Sure. Okay, I'm terrible at French words.
No
but
worse
here
than
we
me.
Go. That's true. So this is from the producer, Henri Champliau. This is a Brut Rosé. That really interesting mix of grapes here. We're at 75% Pinot Noir, 15% Chardonnay, and 10% Gamay. So
Woo.
this is, don't let people tell you they don't grow Gamay in Burgundy, because here we are. This is Cremant de Bourgogne, which is Cremant from the region of Burgundy. It's 12.5% ABV, and we picked this one up for $30.
Awesome. Well, I did a very quick dive into this. So this is a relatively new vineyard. It was only found in 2016, and it is, as Colin mentioned, in Burgundy, but relatively young again. And you talk about being in a country that prides itself so much in tradition, a vineyard that's only less than a decade old. So it's exciting to see how we can do that. So as always on the show, we have to find a wine that I can get up in the New York City area. Colin and Joel can get down in Orlando. And now today we're joined by Natalie in North Carolina. So while we would love to have tried some of the recent obsessions that Natalie was talking about, we just could not get them in our regions. But since Brut Rosé was one of the types, we did find this today. And I'm super excited because I'm hoping this is going to, scratch the same itch as any other Brut Rosé out there. What do y'all say? Do we want to get our noses in this and see what we got?
Yes, please.
Let's
please.
give it a try.
Tastes like wine.
Anyone want to volunteer to start off?
Sure. Definitely some red fruit in there. For sure, that's what's popping out to me. Maybe a little strawberry, maybe a hint of raspberry in there as well. I wanna say maybe some cherry too. But I can leave that or take that. Anybody else?
You took my low hanging fruit there, the strawberry. I feel like there's a little citrusy aspect in there.
I agree, like grapefruity
Yeah.
citrus
Sure.
with a hint of cream.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I like that.
Definitely get some of that breadiness too. I think this one has definitely seen some lees aging.
Aaron, how about you, buddy?
You know I don't have any other things other than what you guys just said. I think it smells very pretty, and I'm excited
It
to
does
taste
indeed.
it.
I love the cream call. That's so interesting because it's definitely in there. I like kind of like that sweet cream type thing going on.
Like a strawberry lifesaver.
Oh, yeah.
Joel, you want to start us off? What are you getting on the taste?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely a little bit more actually of the raspberry coming through. I thought it was going to be strawberry more, but more of the raspberry, some of the berry aspects. Not, maybe a little like a background. I called out that citrusiness. I like grapefruit. Not like, it's not like bitter or anything by any means. It's just like a nice little fruitiness, citrusy along the back. But other than that, I think what we had pretty much called out, I'll save it for you guys.
Yeah, I might disagree with bitter, and I think that's why I liked the grapefruit call so much, especially on the palate, because I do get a little bit of bitterness at the end there. But it makes sense. Like, it's not out of place by any means, but I do get a little bit of that twinge on the back end.
What about you, Nat?
I definitely agree with the raspberry, and I'm sticking strong to the grapefruit. It doesn't give as much cream on the palate as it did the nose for me. Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, the no strawberry, so that strawberry cream saver's out the window.
Yeah. How it was so prevalent when we were smelling it too, though, and it's kind of taking a back seat on the sip. I love
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
But no, but structure-wise, like, really new. It's super crisp. It's so light. It's, and I will say it just has a really nice balance to it. This is definitely, one of those ones where this feels really nice. It feels like a nice elevated bottle that I would want to, like, bring to a baby shower or something like that.
So it's time for the review, Aaron?
Review police.
I'm saying vibes. It's
My
vibes of it. The
Lord.
vibes are part of the structure. Relax.
It's time for the review.
Is this vibing you into like a must
review
share, or is this vibing you as like a
I can never make you guys
drinker?
happy.
What do you think?
That's fine. Fine. I like the structure. The structure is nice. Let's continue.
Very good. Well done. That's the level we're looking for right now.
You guys are the worst.
Yes.
No, but I do agree. I mean, it's one of those ones where, it's very nice the whole way through. So just balanced, I think, really nicely. Nothing is really sticking out as like, and this is a good thing. Nothing's really sticking out to like pull my attention away from just the flavors and the nice experience of it.
Yep. And you get a little bit of that breadiness in there too. Not a ton. I was honestly expecting more. I think same thing with the cream. I was expecting a lot of that on the palate, but I'm just not getting as much as I thought I'd get on the nose.
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to let this kind of sit off to the side for a hot second, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Cremant, because like I said, we haven't talked about Cremant on the show for quite some time. So we should get a quick refresher of what that is. Colin, would you like to hit us up with the 5 things that everyone should know about Cremant?
I would love to, Aaron, tell you the 5 things that you need to know about Cremant.
This is the only thing you will learn.
And there's some pretty high-level stuff, which I think is great because we haven't talked about Cremant in such a long time, but there's some really good stuff to keep in mind. 1, Cremant is a traditional method sparkling wine. So similar to champagne, there is a secondary fermentation that happens in the bottle. So you're going to see those smaller bubbles. You're going to get some of that breadiness you might see in champagne. This is going to be very different from like a Prosecco, which is done in the tank method, where the secondary fermentation happens in the tank. The second thing you should know about Cremant is it is really France's other sparkling wine. Everybody knows about champagne. I mean, you think French sparkling wine, you think champagne, but Cremant really holds its own as well. Cremant is sparkling wine from regions inside of France that's not Champagne. So there are some regions that you'll find Cremant is Alsace, Burgundy, which is where we're drinking tonight. The Loire Valley makes Cremant, and then Lemieux, which is actually one of the oldest sparkling wine regions in the world. The third thing you need to know about Cremant is it's going to vary by region. We just mentioned a couple different regions there. You're not going to find the same grapes in every region like you would Champagne. So, if you get a Cremant from the Loire Valley, you might find Chenin Blanc. Alsace, you might find one made from Pinot Blanc. So, look for different grapes. The fourth thing you need to know about Cremant is it offers some great value. And that's because it's just lesser known, honestly. People just really don't know too much about Cremant. It's not Champagne. A lot of times Champagne, especially the big houses, you're paying more for brand than you are for the juice inside the bottle. And Cremant, a lot of times it's different because people just don't know about it. So, you get a lot of the same stuff. Just to do a quick comparison to Champagne, you're getting a lot of the same style that you would find in Champagne, but as we mentioned, a lot of different grapes. And because you're getting the same style, if you like that, traditional method style, you're going to love Cremants. And I think they can be considerably more interesting just because they are made of such interesting grapes. So definitely some great value in France. And then the fifth thing you need to know about Cremant is it can be great with food. The different grapes that Cremant is made in the different regions kind of lend themselves to interesting food pairings. And those are the 5 things you need to know about Cremant.
Thank you for bookending that so perfectly for social media. I appreciate you very much.
You're welcome. That's what I was thinking of the whole time. I was like, God, if I don't do this for social media, Aaron's going to kill me.
Do your post-episode notes. But I do want to say, I want to once again, and I tell everyone perk up on this, the value is the biggest thing to me because this is one of those places where education changes your wine experience. If you don't know anything about Champagne, Cremant, the difference between sparkling wines, and you walk into a wine shop, you're never going to pick up this bottle. You're going to look at it. It's all like traditional labeling. So you're going to look at it and go, what the hell is this? And you're going to walk away and you're not going to touch it. Or you might look at it and go, this is too cheap. Instead of spending $80 on a bottle of champagne that you don't know anything about, but you know it's champagne, look for Cremant and you can get a solid bottle of Cremant. God. And you know it's good, and you spend $30 instead of $80. And we're drinking from Burgundy today. Burgundy is 2 hours from Champagne. So when you also just think about just like climate and terroir, like there's not that big of a difference between New York and Boston. Like, we're talking about one of the best wine regions.
Did you just piss off 2 of
climate-wise,
the largest northeastern cities? Oh,
climate-wise.
Okay.
No one's going to argue with me on that.
Okay.
Your culture is very different. I've lived at both of you.
Yeah, I was going to say. Fair enough.
All right. Thanks, Colin. Great value. Great wine. I'm excited. Everyone should know about it. Let's take one more sip. I don't expect a lot changed with our Brut Rosé, but any last inspirations from anyone before we go ahead and give our review?
No, I don't think so. I think not too much has changed.
Lovely.
I don't even think sometimes we call it the temperature difference.
Yeah.
Can change things. I don't think it really has in this one. And I've had this out for about 45 minutes now, and it really kind of almost tastes exactly the way it tastes when I opened it, which is nice. I think it
says a lot about the flavor that it's holding on to on its own, and not just like this is good because it's chilled, and then later you're like, what's happening? Also, I don't know if this is if this would even apply to Cremant, but I know sometimes with sparkling, especially with Prosecco, it just starts to get sticky after a little bit of time and after drinking it. I'm not experiencing that with this at all.
Yeah, still crisp.
Nice crisp.
That'd be the sugar content in Prosecco, though. This Brut Rosé is not going to have that much sugar.
See, science. All right, so on this show, we don't use numbers on this show, just so you know, Nat. So we talk about kind of the experience of wine and, how we'd want to drink it or who we'd want to drink it with. So when we review a wine, we put it in different categories, one being drain wines. Those are wines that just don't drink it. It's not even maybe some people like it. Just don't drink it. It's bad. Backup wines that, they're passable, break glass in emergency if you have nothing else. Casual sippers, maybe these aren't the highest quality wines, but you like it. They have a taste to it. They're fine. If you like it, drink it. Maybe don't show it off to your friends. Maybe don't show up to dinner with a bottle of layer cake. But if you want to drink it at your house. Who cares? Must share. These are the wines that you want to bring out. It's nothing to do with the price. It has to do with the quality. It has to do with the experience. Bring it over to dinner. Share it with friends. Be proud of it. It's a good wine. And then the wine fridge wines, these are our personal favorites. Joel is on a rampage right now. For the past 2 weeks, he has put new wines in his wine fridge. We only have 3 spots,
Oh,
so it's our
wow.
top 3 personal wines. Last week he put a Croatian wine in his wine fridge. So Joel is just a man of the world.
Nice.
That's right.
Great wine.
Nice.
That's right.
I'll
Good.
have to circle back to that episode or those last 3 episodes and try
Yeah,
that.
and just go through
For sure.
Joel's
Buckle
changes.
up. That's all I can say.
Going from a Basque rosé to a deep red Croatian wine was an interesting swing, but he did it.
In a matter of a week.
Hey, it's my wine fridge.
It
buddy.
is. Your
My
wine fridge can be
wine
whatever
fridge.
it wants to be. All right, Natalie, since you are our guest, you will go last. Colin, why don't you start us off? How are you feeling about this wine?
Yeah, but did they like it? It's time for the review.
Yeah, I think this is a must share. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's quite delightful. Even at $30, I think this kind of matches its value right on. I think the flavors are really nice. The structure is quite nice as well. Like Aaron said, it's really well balanced. It's definitely one of those wines I just want to like sit outside and drink. Really refreshing. There's not too much breadiness sometimes with champagne. Like you don't necessarily want to be in a hot area drinking champagne because it can be a heavier sparkling. This is not. This is nice. It's light. It's crisp. So yeah, but really, really enjoyable. A must share for me.
Nice, Joel.
Yeah, totally agree. Total must share. And you kind of took the words out of my mouth. This is, hey, listen, it's hot here in Florida. Okay, I want to be sitting outside right now drinking this. I want some seafood. I want some sunshine. And I want this really nice, really crisp, really refreshing, yet also, there's enough complexity there. Like it's doing a lot of things that are really fun, and there's a lot to kind of talk through. So yeah, really, really lovely Brut Rosé that is going in my must share column.
Yeah, same with me. Absolutely a must share. Going back to what I was saying earlier, I think this is an excellent example of a bottle that you can grab to bring to a special occasion, to a baby shower, to a picnic, to a barbecue. It looks elevated. It's from Burgundy. It is a really quality bottle. It is $30. So yeah, you have that side of just bringing a really nice bottle of sparkling wine. If people don't know what a Cremant is, it's a great conversation starter where you get to open people's eyes to sparkling wine that is just as good as champagne, just made slightly outside of the region, and not break the bank doing it. So an absolute must share for me. Nat?
I agree. I think it's definitely a must share for me too. It honestly reminds me a lot of the Cremant that I originally recommended that we couldn't all find. A very similar flavor profile. Yeah, I wanna drink this on a boat.
Yes.
Right?
I want to
Yeah.
drink this on a
100%.
boat with a white linen dress blowing in the wind.
Absolutely.
If they're giving out this, I'll get a
it's
linen dress
lovely.
as well.
Sure. If that's the price of entry,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. All right, well, that's great. We were on a roll, guys, of finding excellent wines. Must share all around. Check it out if it's near you. This does seem to be readily available all over the place. So definitely take a look. At $30 is well worth it. Not a waste of your wine by any means. Nat, before we let you go, can we play a game?
Yes, please.
All right. We are going to play one of our favorite games, which is called Pinot or Chardonnay. And all this game is we're going to toss out some kind of funky wine scenarios. And you just let us know if that's something you're into, Chardonnay, or just an absolute Pinot to you. In the past, we kind of drag it out and everyone kind of explains why. I'm going to challenge us today to go with a gut check and just lightning round it. So I'm going to read a series of this, and all you're allowed to do is say Pinot or Chardonnay. You're not allowed to defend your take.
Okay. I like
Okay.
that. I like that.
Okay.
I think as probably the worst culprit of trying to expand and find nuances of every one of these, this is going to be really hard for me, but I'm going to do it.
There's
like
2
the
words
idea.
that you can say, Joel, and that's it.
Okay.
All right. First one up. Wine in a can. Colin?
I have so much.
You've already said too much.
Chardonnay. Chardonnay.
That?
Pinot, except one
Ooh.
I've had.
Okay.
Ooh, which one? I have to ask.
So it was a Sauv Blanc from Benevolent Neglect, out of California, out of Napa. They produce some great wine. Check them
All
out.
right.
But by and large, and also I'm sitting here explaining. I'm so sorry. It's supposed to be rapid fire.
That's okay.
No,
We
no.
made it
That's
through
okay.
one person, and even Colin started off by saying something. We have it. So, Joel, Pinot or Chardonnay?
I'm going to go Pinot, but I have a similar thing as Nat. Can I
No.
expand? Because
No, you guys are breaking it.
You're
You're
going to love
breaking
it.
it. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to expand. And
The
then
next
you can cut
one's
it
an
out if you
absolutely
want
not,
to,
though.
but
You
I
can
have to
explain,
tell
but the
you.
next one, everyone gets one word.
Okay. I have to tell you this. When my wife and I were out in Sonoma, we went to Ridge, okay? And we were talking to the guy at Ridge. And he was all excited that we were from Florida because they were like, oh, this wine in a can thing is like getting really big. We're thinking about trying to do something like a wine in a can that's really good. So I think people are trying to make it good. I think it could be a different thing now or in a couple years. Go on. Love the lightning round idea, by
Yeah,
the way.
it's
I'm
a
totally
great
bought into
idea
it.
in
Let's do
theory.
that.
Pinot for me. All right, next one. Ice cubes and wine, Colin.
Can you expand
No.
on that?
Ice cubes and wine, Colin.
Oh, hard Pinot.
Nat.
Pinot.
Joel.
Pinot.
Pinot. All right, that's the order, by the way, so I'm going to stop saying people's names.
That's an easy one.
Were you shocked that I didn't try to expand?
No,
on
I'm proud
that
of you.
right there,
I'm going
too?
to keep going.
Thank you.
That's an easy one.
Colin?
I mean, come on. Ice cube wine.
Frosés.
Sorry. Sure. Chardonnay.
Take it to their own. I'm not going to order one Pinot for me personally, but
That's fair.
Yeah.
you do you. No judgment.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry for expanding.
It's hard. It's a hard.
It's
It's hard.
really
thing.
hard.
I've never tried this before, Joel.
I feel like I'd be a hypocrite if I said Pinot to ice and wine and then said Chardonnay to this. So I'm going to have to go Pinot.
No
It's a
way.
different thing. Chardonnay.
It's totally different.
The ice is wine.
How is that
The
a
ice
different
is
thing?
wine.
You're just making the ice smaller.
The ice.
No shit.
Okay, engineer. Next one. Colin, celebrity wines.
Pinot.
Just in case my girl Cameron Diaz is listening, I'm going to have to say Chardonnay.
Chardonnay.
That wine was okay.
It was
Is that the Aveline? Is that
Yeah.
All right. Anyone got any others? Those are the four I had.
No,
Those are
good ones.
really good.
I have so much more to say on all of them. And I feel like we need to revisit our Frosé debate at some point. But
We'll have to do a Frosé on the show, which would be a very funny episode to film. As we're all just like
be really
scooping
hard.
I don't even know. They're having a
Summer
tube.
episode.
All right, well, that was fun. And now we've affirmed that none of us have the ability to follow rules. Congratulations. Natalie, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was so much fun having you. Before we let you go, is there anything you want to shout out? Can you tell our listeners if they want to check out, the Wine Not Sky Bar, where would they go? Website, Instagram? What's the best way?
Absolutely. Please follow us. Like I said earlier, we work really hard on our social media. We are at Wine Not, so wine oh my gosh, I can't spell. Wine, it's the wine that did this to me.
Wine
So
Not.
it's at Wine KNOT Sky Bar on everything. If you're in Wilmington, North Carolina, please come check us out. We would love to have you. We do a lot of fun events. And again, we love wine. We love having a good time. So come see us.
Amazing. And,
Yeah.
we just, once again, appreciate having you on. It was so much fun. And if we are ever in the area, we will definitely stop by. Joel, if people want to stop by our stuff, where would they find us?
Thank you for asking me, by the way. It's been like 12
Has it?
episodes.
Yeah,
since
you
anybody
keep coming
asked
to me.
So
I don't know.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And in stark opposition to how I answered your lightning round questions, I'm going to make this very
Nice.
fast, very quick. Stop wasting your wine. Instagram, YouTube.
I'd like to bring up how not quick that was.
This is going to be, even with my rambling, this will be faster than usual. Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Blue Sky. Come find us. Check out stopwastingyourwine.com to see everything we've reviewed and where we place them.
Yep.
Just Google Stop Wasting Your Wine. You'll find us.
And if you want to send us an email, we have a new email, which is cheers@stopwastingyourwine,
That's right.
which we thought
Yeah.
was adorable. All right, y'all. Thank you.
It is. Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
for
so
coming
much.
on.
And thanks for
Yeah,
listening,
awesome.
everyone. Until next time. Bye, y'all.
And remember, stop wasting your wine.
Bye.